I booked you. Good. I was going to say good morning, readers, but I'm not sure if it's still morning. Good lunchtime, readers.
It's still morning. And so, hi, it's Roz and
Tilly from Tilly Shelf, who doesn't know what's going on.
Oh, but worse than that, we were just going to start to record, and I kind of thought, oh, it's not straight, and then
actually now looking at the picture behind us,
it's really not straight. But Tilly said, but I'd already straightened it, and I had to stop recording, start again, and she straightened it, and now it's definitely not straight. I was right, it's not straight.
What are we actually here for? What are we trying to do? We're here to discuss pipeline.
So, just to restart more seriously, this is our February discussing drama video.
Yeah, and we, as previously announced, we've been reading Pipeline by Dominique Morisseau.
Yeah.
And this is a very, very modern play, so we kind of try and mix it up a little bit, don't we?
Yeah.
And last month, which we've only just discussed now, we read 6 Characters in Search of an Author by Luigi Pirandello, which was from 1921, and this is from 2017.
Yeah, so
skip forward a century.
Bang up to date.
And very different issues and approaches.
And we chose this play because February is Black American History Month, so it's not UK Black History Month, but American.
That's October.
Yeah. But so we wanted to read a play by a Black American playwright.
Yeah.
Which we did last year. But,
last year we read Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which I don't think we actually discussed, and A Raisin in the Sun,
which was incredible.
Lorraine Hansberry.
But
yeah, that was a fantastic play.
It was, and so this was like, let's read a current Black woman playwright from America, and we just more or less at random picked one of her plays. Yeah. And I'm very glad we picked this one.
Yeah, I thought it was great. Yeah. Although, having read a little bit more about her, she's from Detroit, and she's got a set of 3 plays that I think it's called the Detroit series, or it's a set of 3 plays that are set around Detroit. And I'd be really interested to read those, actually, because she talks about them being like, these are about her family or her
more personal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas this one is set in New York, but you could really put it in any sort of inner city context. Which she says I could very easily picture it being set in London.
Yeah.
I think you'd have very much the same issues at play too. Yeah.
And it was, I think it was commissioned by Chicago Theatre Company, although its first performance was in New York. So it's although it's set in New York, that's not the exclusive.
It's not fixed. Yeah.
Not fixed. It's what would you say? It's kind of like quite political play. She's written with a mission, with a purpose.
And she's trying to draw attention to. I mean, the title Pipeline refers to the pipeline that takes particularly young Black men from education systems directly into the criminal justice system, and I suppose the interplay of issues that lead to that progress. Yeah. And like demonstrated through one family trying to avoid that pipeline, with we don't want to say unsuccessfully because we don't know by the end of the play. But coming up against hurdles. And that's where you and I could imagine you could set this play in probably particularly in London. And have the same sort of issues for a young man. Should we give a little summary of the sort of story of the play?
Story characters? Yeah.
Yeah, so there is a mother character, Naya, and her son Amari is they're kind of the principal characters, really. And
he's maybe 16.
Yeah, kind of.
We don't know exactly.
Yeah, mid to late teens.
Yeah.
Just kind of towards the end of his
school career.
Education. And she and her ex-husband have put her into a private school because they really want what's best for him, and they want to put him on the right track and put every possible resource into giving him every the opportunities that they think
best
he should
chances have. And she is a teacher in a public school, a different language in the UK and America. We'd say she's a teacher in a state school. And is sent to her son goes to a private school.
But for Amari, he finds it actually quite uncomfortable being in the private school environment because it's not. He feels that he doesn't belong, or he's made to feel that he doesn't belong in that context, and he's somewhat isolated there compared to his friends from his own neighbourhood.
Yeah. Plus, he also has that the classic teenage thing about authenticity and belonging. You know, it's like it's possible that if he'd been somewhere else, he might have had similar. You know, it's a classic. It's like Holden Caulfield and Catcher in the Rye. You know, there's a normal teenage thing about feeling
isolated, or like you're the first person to have felt this way.
Yes, and nobody understands me and so on. And then but it's sort of ramped up and exacerbated by the position he's in as a black boy from a sort of middle class parentage, but from a sort of an inner city background in this private school where everyone's bit different.
And we can see that they're he's profoundly not an unintelligent young boy. He particularly likes his science lessons, are referenced a few times, and you can see that he would have that talent and he would have that drive, but there's other classes where he's made to feel more excluded and should we talk about the
so we've got the setup that he's at this school, she's teaching in this public school, so we get or state school, so we get bits in both schools. We've got the other key character is his girlfriend, but also some other characters in the school where the mother works, who sort of bring I suppose give you an impression of the world that she was trying, and her ex-husband trying to keep him out of. So we get
and that's a teacher, Laurie, who's a white school teacher, one of Naya's colleagues, and then a security guard, and they talk about the fights that are constantly going on in this school and things.
So you were going to talk about what happens to him at the incident at the private school where he's at that sort of throws all this.
So he's in a literature class, and his literature teacher keeps kind of referring the question to him about the character of Bigger Thomas in Native Son, and asking him specifically, why does Bigger Thomas have this animal inside of him? And Amari feels very, very targeted or singled out by that question, and that's something that we know that people describe having that experience of being highlighted as the you're on to represent
you're the black person here, so
you should explain this
what black people think, or this black person's experience, and he absolutely it's a common experience, and the teacher seems to be oblivious to the fact that that is a really racist thing to do.
And he, according to Amari's description, he says that he's not good, he says he's not in the mood for it, and the teacher continues to ask him, and that leads him to physically assault the teacher, which then leads to him being threatened with prosecution and with the pipeline leading to criminal justice system.
So he's likely to be expelled from the school, but they're also considering pressing charges, and if they press charges, then that's it, he's into the sort of juvenile justice system.
And the event was caught on camera as well, so people were recording it on their mobile phones. So one of the things that he says is, regardless of, he doesn't really talk so much about the criminal justice system, but he's more worried about the fact that it could go viral, or people will, even if he doesn't go to court, he's being judged in the kind of the court of the internet. People will be able to search him and find that incident, and that could, even if he doesn't get charged for it, that's going to affect his career prospects and his future. He's
now the violent young black man.
Because presumably the setup leading up to the point where he pushes the teacher was not necessarily
exactly. He just appears to be someone who's given this person a shove. And so it's well, the strengths of the play. I thought that Amari was a really well created character for me. He was very believable in his, both in his teenageriness,
Yes. Yeah.
and in his pain, and in being in that situation, how you might respond. You know, it's like he's a good-hearted, decent, you know, lovely boy that has done something, has got pushed into a sort of violent reaction. And not that violence is ever, you know, but
but you can feel his sense of frustration and also his sense of the other things that are going on in his life that make him a bit more fragile, like his parents have recently separated, and they've actually not told him the reason for that, so he's got this idea of how it's happened, and he kind of makes you talking about grown up stuff that I'm not supposed to know about, and he thinks he knows what's happened. And also like his dad being very distant, but at the one scene where you do have his dad and him in a room, his dad does lay hands on him. So you can kind of see, and you know, his dad's presumably also grown up in the same system effectively, but you can kind of see where.
There's like that sort of generational experience that puts Amari where he is now, and how he responds to things now. You know, you got sort of 200-300 years of history bringing him to that point, which is, you know, we know. And one of the triggers for him feeling bad that day was that he'd had his like child support check from his father, but when he tried to ring him, his father didn't pick up the phone to him. So that feeling of like, you send me money but you don't really want to know me. And so Amari really works as a character.
I thought Naya really works as a character as well. I think that the way that she acts as a mother, and her, you know, like the intensity that she cares for her son, but also feels so overwhelmed and unsure of what's going to be best and what's going to protect him the most.
She knows she's let him down by splitting up with his father, and we come to find out that the reason for that relationship breakdown was her having an affair with
someone that she works with at school.
Which Amari doesn't know, and we don't know at first. So she's got that guilt. She's got the classic mother guilt that all mothers have, speaking as a mother, of like, am I getting this right? Could I have done better? You know, I would do anything for my child, but I still managed to muck it up. You know, that really resonates, I think, for any parent. You know, she's in an extreme situation, but that feeling is a normal one.
A shared one.
A shared one. I love the way she fluctuates between, okay, I've got to be an authoritative parent, and I've got to draw a line, I've got to, you know, have it out with them, I've got to tell them what to do, you know, take control, and, you know, and you know, that bit. And then there's that she sometimes flips to, you know, just tell me what I should do that would be,
give me instructions,
better. Give me instructions,
these problems.
You know, I just want to make it better, and I actually don't know. I don't have all the answers as the mother. You know, and the father comes in sort of again wanting to go all authoritative. And almost like Amari, I suppose, in a sense, questions whether he has the right to, because he's left.
And he's got this. The father kind of comes in and sees it as like a system of government, and he's got these lines where he's like, you know, Amari can't be a dictator, and we can't be a democracy, and sometimes we've just got to like set the rules. And you kind of feel like, is that kind of authoritarian approach, is it going to help, or is it going to cause more conflict between them?
And does he, what he actually needs from his parents is to be listened to, because that's exactly what his teachers didn't
Yeah.
do, which is how this situation arose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also kind of
Yeah.
dealing with, I suppose, like modern relationship dynamics between the two parents, because like they're trying not to argue about their breakup, and they're trying not to blame each other about their breakup, but at the same time they really do want to argue and blame each other, and they're trying to, they're co-parenting, and they're like, we're co-parenting, but at the same time, at the same time, his dad's coming in and saying, your son's had these problems, and she's saying, well, hang on, our son. And then they kind of give up on, they can't use the word our son, so they end up calling him the son.
So they're still acting out their resentments for each other, and of course, he picks up on that.
That kind of conflict between them.
Absolutely. Structurally, this is I really liked the way the play has scenes in different settings, like in the state school, the public school, and so on, but it's very fluid things. It's not sort of realist in that way. So it's realist in emotion and subject matter, but it's not realist in the sort of staging and the setup.
And I think it's recommended, or some clips that I've seen online, it uses a lot of sort of projectors to create that setting, rather than using props and scenery. So you have quite a minimalist stage set, and then project onto the background the scene that you're trying to create, which I think would work really, really well. I thought so. And one of the central relationship of the play, as you say, is between Amari and Naya, his mother, and they are very close. Although they're, there's sometimes a conflict, they're obviously very, very close, and they're often both there, even though they're not in the same physical space.
They're
in a shared emotional space, I suppose.
Absolutely. So, and one of my favourite scenes was the scene where she's gone to the school to pick him up, but he's done a runner at that point, and Naya is talking to his girlfriend, Jasmine, and that the older woman, the mother, and they both love him, they both care about him, they both want good things for him, and how they kind of negotiate that relationship was really astute, I thought.
I have to say, I found the relationship between Naya and Jasmine more believable than the relationship between Jasmine and Amari. That didn't really seem to gel quite right for me, but I suppose that's just, it would depend on how it was acted as well.
Because there's that element of how uncomfortable you can be in your relationships at that age. It's quite hard to just be honest and be yourself, isn't it?
And particularly if he's like 14, 15, it's almost like it's not quite a grown-up relationship yet. It's they're kind of experimenting with the idea of going out with each other.
Absolutely. So another thing that you say something you liked about it, because I feel like I'm saying favourite scenes or things that I liked, but
no, that's fine. One character that I quite liked, but I felt like could have been explored a bit more. I think to me that the play seemed very, very short. I don't know whether it's just because I read it very quickly, but it seemed to just be kind of. It seemed to progress very fast and end quite soon. Was the character of Laurie, who's the white school teacher, and
it's worth saying she's an older woman who's been teaching for years.
And she's saying, I've given my life to this school, and I liked the way that you can see her passion and her commitment and her real desire to get the best for her kids and try and push them, at the same time as showing that she can be part of the problem. And there's a point where she makes a reference to that West Indian girl and things, and Naya say, I'm not sure you can call her that, but she just completely moves on from it, and she's not, although she obviously cares, she doesn't quite care enough to address her own methods, I suppose, or internal biases. Even though she's shown as being good friends with Naya, and
and sort of essentially a good person, but still, again, there's lots in this play of people trying to do the right thing and messing it up
not
a bit.
Quite getting there,
which is a good good quality.
Yeah.
and one of the things, again, one of the things that I liked about the play is, although it's very much a play with, you know, it's a political play with a message, as it were, that there's no character that's like the, oh, and this is how we get it right. Everyone's struggling.
No one's like the paragon that you know this is what we should be aiming for. It's quite real.
It's not afraid to be messy. Yeah. One of the distinctive features of the play is its use of other Black American literature.
Yes, and it kind of sets up a bit of a rival canon, I suppose, or a language of Black American literature. By using Native Son,
by Richard Wright,
and also is it Gwendolyn Brooks, who was a poet, was the first female poet laureate, and also first female Black American poet laureate. A play by her called
poem.
A poem, yes, thank you.
Begins with a P. Literature.
It's a thing. I was going to say We Real Cool, but I don't think that's actually the title. It's called Seven Pool Players.
Oh yes, it's a long title, and I meant to write it down because I think of it as We Real Cool.
Yeah, but hang on, I'll see if I can find it. You talk about it a little bit, and I'll find it.
So this poem is used at more than one point in the play, and it's almost like used as a sort of a unifying, connecting thread. And we see Naya teaching it to her class, a class in the public school, but when we see Amari speaking it, and it helps generate that sense of threat that he could end up dead, you know.
Yeah, because the final line of the poem is "We die soon."
We die soon.
And there's moments where he kind of struggles to say that, as if he's struggling to accept the path that he might be on.
Yeah. And it was quite moving and effective, I thought, the way it was used.
I'm just seeing it, actually. I think We Real Cool is used as a title for it. We Real Cool by Gwendolyn Brooks. The Pool Players, 7 at the Golden Shovel. That's the subtitle for it.
That's it.
There we go.
Brilliant. And it is a poem that I sort of already knew. It did make me go back and read it again, and you know,
think about it maybe in different ways, or thinking about
So I that worked for me as a structure, but you thought maybe she slightly overused it.
I felt, like I said, that I felt like the play could have been longer, and I also felt like there were moments when she was bringing up all of these issues and trying to talk about some of these, and you know, doing it very, very well in places, but at times kind of falling back on the poem to do that work for her, or using it as a bit of a crutch, or kind of, you know, Brooks's poem phrases it really, really well and makes you think about it really, really well, and it does it in a very pithy way. It's so few words, but it really creates a whole, you know, world of those issues. And I did feel like at times Morisseau could have put her own spin on it a little bit more, or could have
she was piggybacking on somebody else's
I don't know, but that in itself is not that's not fair. Like using somebody else's poem in your work, that's a fantastic thing to do, and it works really, really well. But I just wanted a tiny bit more development on from that, rather than going back to that poem so many times. Or even, you know, she could have introduced because there was Native Son and there was We Real Cool, she could have introduced another element to refer back to if that was how she wanted to do it.
Maybe. Yes, I mean, I didn't have that feeling, but I understand how you could. I do think it did feel quite short, and in some ways that was good, because it was intense and high emotion, and you know, people get very angry or very upset or very you know, and I wouldn't have wanted that diluted by and it would have been hard to sustain it for too much longer. And I suppose the benefit of keeping going back to the poem is it becomes a kind of a refrain, or a kind of like a chorus.
Like anthem's the wrong word, but like a kind of a unifying message, I suppose. But
I would certainly be interested to read more by her, and I'd be interested to see something performed.
I'd love to see, like I said, like we were saying earlier, you could see this as being set in London. I would love to see this on a London stage.
Yes.
I don't know whether it has been. I think it was on Off-Broadway originally. But
yes, but yeah, no, I'd love to see it being, you know, set in Peckham or Tottenham, or, you know, that would really, really work and be interesting. So
highly recommend it.
Yes,
and let us know if you've read it,
yes,
what you think of it, or what your experiences have been in relation to this play.
Or if you've read other things by
Morisseau.
Yes, I want to say Morisseau because but Morisseau is how she.
Well, that's how I've heard her say it in an interview.
Morisseau, if you know other work by her or similar things, or that's something that we might read this time next year.
Yeah. Well, we could read it before if we wanted to.
We could, and we're now looking forward to our March play,
which is going to be we're going back in time again. We're going to the Spanish Golden Age.
Yeah.
And I can't remember which. I think is it a Lope de Vega that we've picked?
It is. Yes. Yeah.
Excellent.
So we'll
be back in March.
We'll be back in March
for more discussing drama.
Yeah. Bye. Do join us.